Part of finding the voice is really bringing your true and most authentic self to the space, because then it allows people to come in their true and most authentic self into the space.
I'm here at Frick Park, where the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy has done a ton of work to support these trees, which I'm surrounded by. Trees are an important part of the climate solution, especially on degraded lands, and especially when it comes to protecting and restoring ecosystems. If you're someone who's passionate about helping people, often when it comes to planting trees, you might not see that connection. But how can we help people and connect with people while also getting trees in the ground in places where our planet needs them? Today I'm connecting with Clara Kitongo, who's someone who not only understands the science and the importance of trees, but also is able to fulfill her passion of connecting with people through her One Tree Per Child program, helping the next generation see the power and importance and impact that tree plantations can have in being part of the climate solution. Could you introduce yourself? Who are you?
I'm Clara Kitongo. I come from Uganda. That's where I was born and raised all my life.
Where are we right now? What neighborhood is this in Pittsburgh?
We're literally sitting in the nursery, so a lot of the trees that will eventually be planted across Pittsburgh and some parts of Allegheny County actually are sitting right here on this bench, if you can believe it. Our site is in Lawrenceville. There's a 62nd Street bridge up over yonder.
But could you talk about what you decided to study in college and how you figured out what you would study?
As a kid, I wanted to be a teacher and a musician. Those were my two things. But as an African person, you don't become a teacher and a musician. What are you doing? You're not going to add anything to the society in that way. Well, maybe teacher you will, but you're not going to get paid a lot of money. Musician, not even looked at as something that's reasonable to do. So very early, I decided to be an aeronautic engineer, to become an astronaut, and then eventually to be an architect, and then eventually to be a civil engineer. So I ended up, applying to Carnegie Mellon to do civil engineering because it was the one school I knew, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to pursue this dream and become a civil engineer. And I did those classes. They were really amazing, learning how structures work, how soil works. But then I didn't want to build bridges, like concrete bridges. I was like, this is not really making me feel like I'm adding value. I was like a black girl in Pittsburgh, and most of the people who are working in this field were white men, older white men. So I instantly cut myself out of civil engineering, literally just because I didn't see anyone who looked like me in that field. Now looking back, I'm like, nah, I probably will do it if I want to. I'll find a way to do it. But at that time, I didn't have the tools to really be able to navigate kind of that reality.
When did you first really understand not only trees and the power of those, but also trees as a climate solution or part of a climate solution?
That's a great question. Being in Uganda, it's like a tropical country, so we're right on the equator. It's really warm, it's always rainy. But from those early ages, we learned about deforestation and reforestation. So I always knew when you have a place that's deforested, you're probably going to get a desert at some point. Or when you bring trees into spaces, you start changing how the fabric of the space really looks like. So of course, people like Wangari Maathai made it even much easier, because in that class with Danielle, I learned about the Green Belt movement, which Wangari Maathai had started with, poor women in Kenya, really turning a place that had been basically deforested to build houses, now turned into a forest. So what can I do that makes me feel less anxious is the actual work of maybe planting a tree or being connected with kids who are doing work like that. Makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing something now.
How did you realize that you could actually do something? Because one thing that I find is that a lot of the images that are about how horrible it is could feel really disempowering, and you feel hopeless looking at it. What are we going to do? This is such a big problem that we have to address. We need to plant a lot of trees and do a lot of other things to actually do something. But how did you get to the point where you realized that you could actually do something about climate change?
To be honest, sometimes it feels like a little drop in the bucket, like a really small little drop.
Totally.
But I think part of the reason why I even continue to do is part of my own personal beliefs, because I think I mentioned that I practice Buddhism. And there's a concept of like oneness of self and environment, but then also you've heard about the butterfly effects, like things like that, where it's like a small little thing that one person does have a ripple effect in certain aspects. So if I make your day, if I make you smile right now and you're feeling good, maybe you'll smile to somebody else, and maybe somebody, you start a chain reaction like that. So that thought process of Buddhism allows me to center my mind a little bit, because it does feel sometimes like are these trees really making an impact? But they really are, because when you look at it in a wave reaction, like this small thing is adding to a much bigger movement, then I see, okay, I need to at least do something, because to do nothing is not an option. So feeling like I could do something was a way of I came to it by empowering myself, if that makes sense, like to not belittle the little action. Every little piece actually is coming to this much bigger solution, which then in the end it's like, okay, I don't have to fix everything, but what of it can I focus on doing, and then put my energy into that.
Could you talk about just the work that you're doing as a climate solution, but also like how you communicate that to the young people you work with?
And I hope it is a climate solution, we know.
Yeah.
Because trees, especially the older, much more mature trees, we know play a very big role in carbon sequestration, just pulling the carbon out of the air, using even the roots sinking, carbon in. So this we're doing is almost like a capital project for the future. Mm-hmm. You know how people do capital fundraisers? Planting these trees now is almost like banking on the future, because we're going to only see these benefits like 10, 20, 30 years from now. So when we work with young kids, you're really giving them that perspective of seeing, wow, you are literally part of changing the fabric of what this city is going to look like in 20, 30 years from now. And your hands have a role in it. So we don't really have to talk so much, the climate with them, because that actually freaks them out and maybe even makes them a little anxious. We're going to be able to clean the air a little better, with these trees that we're bringing into the space, or manage stormwater when it comes into the space, like really kind of making more real life connectable solutions for them. Then it's like, let's really plant more trees, or let's learn about how water moves through the city, and then they engineer new solutions, because that's where they are with their computer games, but at least they're able to touch the tree and have that hope, that kind of like hands-on, I've done something and this feels great, and when are we going to plant trees again, they say when we're done. So
I guess I'm curious about like lessons from your journey, but specifically as a Black woman in this space. Are there and have there been any particular challenges with that?
Because sometimes we don't know that we have a superpower.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the journey of my own life, is realizing, actually, because you're born in Uganda and you have this unique experience that is in itself a superpower because of the perspective that you're bringing to the table. I come into the US with many layers, being an immigrant. On the surface, I'm African American, but I'm really African. So there was like, where do I really fit in, and how do I find my voice in all of this space? The truest thing for me is that the environment connects me to all of those experiences, be it as an African woman or an African American woman, which I am now. I consider myself American because I became a US citizen eventually after being here for some time. But in navigating spaces, I found that, I had to face the fact that, I'm scared, but I have to do something. And having role models like Wangari Maathai was very helpful, because you see a person who got a PhD from Pitt, not, in like the 80s, and she was from Kenya. It makes you feel like, I can do something. And somebody was courageous enough to make a move in this direction. And then other layers could be like, but maybe I don't have the technical know-how. I didn't grow up around trees, or I used to be afraid of being in the forest, if you can believe it. And then really sitting with my true feeling and deciding, how am I going to use this fear to create value for my life? How am I going to be courageous to be like, I may not know how I start, I may not know like all the technical pieces, but I know that I want to be in this field. How can I just make some actions towards that? And it came through volunteering. To navigate the environmental space, which can sometimes be a little intimidating for a Black person, allowing myself to be uncomfortable, have dialogue, and then recognize, this is for a bigger, it's not just for the job, it's for this bigger vision of how can we live on this earth? So in a way, we have to find a way to navigate these uncomfortable relationships for the sake of creating a more peaceful or a more sustainable future.
You mentioned music, you mentioned voice. Could you tell us more about your music?
I'm going to just literally sing it for you right now,
Please?
because for so long the people have been pressed down. The system got me wonder where to break down. Sun up to sundown, working for my ransom, trying not to feel like I'm a letdown. But moving forward as I sway to the beat, and finding my position as I prepare the heat. Swaying to the rhythm, feeling how I flow. A whole heap of concrete waves I swim through, so it's straight to the roots I go. Mine's elevated, it's love related, and it's straight to the roots I go. As you can tell, a song is really about getting to like the root of the issues, the matters that things that really matter. Part of finding the voice is really bringing your true and most authentic self to the space, because then it allows people to come in their true and most authentic self into the space. So
the massive difference between walking into a room and there being no one who looks like you, no one who shares your culture, your experiences, no one who like truly understands what your day-to-day life might be and the struggles and challenges that you might have because of your identity, versus walking into the room and there's one person who has that, or a couple people, or there's someone who's standing at the front of the room with a microphone who people respect, who reminds you of you. Like, that actually goes a long way, and I think it's so cool that like you could be here sharing your story because and be anywhere sharing your story, because that's like actually making an impact when someone's like, oh, I could finally see myself doing this really important work that we need more people to do. Because just the diversity of perspectives is necessary for solving any problem, and like you can't solve any problem with just one view and one perspective.
hey, my name's Clara Kitongo, and I'm helping the world reach drawdown by planting trees in Pittsburgh.